Absolutely.
Well, first of all, I just want to say we really appreciate you coming on to today's show. We're very excited to get you on. You're actually our first Ultimate Fighter winner that's been on the show.
Oh, awesome! I feel honored.
we feel honoured as well. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, that's where we first got to see you on the big stage. How did it feel to make it into the Ultimate Fighter house and be part of the UFC?
It felt great. It was I've only been a professional fighter for a short period of time, about a year and 11 months. So it came pretty quick, and I knew I had to step my game up pretty fast. I was facing some really tough veterans, so all in all, it was a great experience.
Yeah, you talk about facing some tough veterans. I think it's fair to say you had a pretty hard route to make it to the final. I mean, not so much the first fight to get into the house, but your fight in the house with Eddie Ellis. I mean, that was an absolutely crazy fight.
Yeah. Eddie Ellis is a true veteran of the sport, 12-year pro. The guy has 40 pro fights since 2005. He's really turned his career around. Only has one loss since 2005. And just tough guy. And so a veteran like that against a rather green guy like myself, and that was definitely a trying moment for me.
How nice was it to win the fight of the season as well?
Yes.
I mean, by far, as soon as I'd seen that fight, by far I felt that was going to be fight of the season. It was such a back and forth war between you and Eddie Ellis.
Yeah, it was a fun fight. I love fights like that. I love, I don't mind getting bloody. It was fun, cutting him up, he cut me up. He rocked me, I rocked him. It was a fun fight. It definitely taught me a lot about myself as a fighter.
I was going to say, you talked there about him rocking you. How badly rocked were you from because he got you early on, didn't he?
Yeah, my chin was sky high. Watching the fight, I was a little pissed at myself. My chin was sky high. He caught my chin. I kind of springboarded. I kind of got knocked down. I popped right back up. He hit me with a big elbow, dropped me again. I popped up. He took me down. I was fine. I was in the fight. I was coherent. I got a pretty hard head, so. It wasn't a big deal. I shook it off the cobwebs in between rounds and made sure I came out the second round and finished the job.
Now, obviously, I mean, that fight, you're showing quite a lot of striking in that fight, and for your next two fights, you faced two pretty high-level grapplers, especially in Igor, and obviously you out-grappled both Igor and John. What was it like to be able to show how effective and how good your wrestling was?
It was good. Igor, a very dangerous opponent, awesome BJJ practitioner as well as fighter. I like Igor a lot. He's a great guy. It was good. I knew my base. I went against high-level grapplers at Lloyd Irvin's, all over guys I've competed against, guys that I've trained with, and I'm not too susceptible to submissions or sweeps. I have a pretty good base. So I knew I could beat him. I knew I could take him down and be fine. Being on top, and that was a game plan with a big country, and I executed my game plan effectively, and I got the victory.
And also, how strange is it cornering John for his quarterfinal match, and then obviously facing him in the semi-final?
Obviously we didn't know we were going to face each other. I did the best I could to corner John and help him the most I could, and he ended up winning. And then I had him in the semifinals, and that was a little weird. Me and him trained probably the most together than anybody else on my team. He big 170-pounder, comes from a good camp, real good brown belt, real good grappler. Tough fight for anybody. But luckily I kind of knew what his game plan was. I knew, what his strengths were, what his weaknesses were because I trained with him. So I looked at it as an advantage, not a disadvantage, because I obviously knew my strengths, but everyone on the show knew that I was a wrestler and I'm looking to take the fight down. It's just, can they deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, going into the fight as well, he did look quite a bit bigger than you as well. So were you worried about the size, or?
I'm in a weird way, I'm deceivingly strong, is what my training partners say. I'm not the biggest guy out there, but I don't really ever feel overpowered except for when I train with like Tim Kennedy or guys like that. But other than that, though, I always feel fine, physically, and I carry my weight really weird. I actually walk around almost 200 pounds, but you wouldn't know it by looking at me. It's just kind of a weird thing. I carry my weight weird. I don't know if I'm big boned or something.
Well, talking obviously about some of the other characters in the house. Now, you were obviously part of Team Nelson. And we obviously seen the fight at the end of the series with Roy Nelson against Matt Mitrione, and we've seen how devastating Roy Nelson is in the cage, and there's no doubt in that at all. But watching it as a fan, he didn't come across too well with regards to the coaching. How did you find Roy as a coach?
You know, I was one of the ones who wasn't a big critic of his coaching. I was fine with it. I knew he won the show before. The guy is a true veteran of the sport, so I respected what he had to offer us. And I didn't want a bunch of negativity to drain my head and make me start thinking I'm not training hard enough or good enough, or Team Carwin's training better than I am. I think the mental game is huge in MMA, and you need to believe in your coaches, regardless if you truly believe in them or not. You need to force yourself to, because in that situation you're stuck. You're not going to get any different coaches than what you have. Make the best of it, and I made the best of it.
I mean, it's interesting you talk about the mental game, because I want to pick up on that. You were obviously, we all know what your background is. You've got a background serving in the military. How did that help you with the mental side of doing what you were doing with the Ultimate Fighter in the house?
Oh man, it was a big deal. My life experiences in the military, deploying, being away from my family, wasn't new to me, being away from my family, out of my element. This was easy. The Ultimate Fighter was easy for me. A lot of guys talk about how hard it was and everything else. I'm not trying to talk about their experience or talk down about it, but it was easy. It was a piece of cake. It was a vacation. I got to stay in a mansion in Las Vegas, eat any food I could possibly dream of that I could write down on a list, and they'd bring it the next morning. I had world-class training with Big Country and all the awesome guys that he brought in. My team was a bunch of awesome guys. I had a great time. So it was a great experience. Would I do it again? Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Wow, that's interesting, because a lot of people we've spoke to have been on previous seasons. Obviously, have got a different outlook, but it just shows you your experience obviously prepared you for something like this, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm young, I'm at a younger age, but I had a lot of these experiences at a young age, 17, 18, 19 years old, being in Baghdad and stuff like that in Iraq. And, so, at a young age, I had to be away from my family, away from my element, and, it kind of molded me into the person I am today, the competitor I am today. Where I lack an experience in the cage, I made up for it in life experiences outside the cage.
Yeah, I think that definitely shows well. One of the other people I want to talk about was somebody that you actually got on quite well with in the show, even though he didn't always carry himself well. How did you find Julian Lane in the house?
I knew Julian. I knew of Julian before the show. We had some similar. We had some of the same coaches back in the day out in Virginia. Some Lloyd Irvin guys, Elijah Harshberger. I knew Julian was going to be on the show possibly, and I befriended him because of that. And he has a kid and a wife, or a girlfriend, and another kid on the way. So we had a commonality in that. We knew some of the same people in the MMA game, and we kind of looked out for each other in the house. I made sure he stayed out of trouble, that's kind of how, a lot of people ask how me and Julian got linked up, because we're polar opposites, in life, obviously. So, I looked out for him. I try to be in the Army we have battle buddies, try to be a good battle buddy for him, and try to help him out.
Well, I know Patrick's eager to jump in, so I'm going to let Patrick take over. You good to go, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm ready. It's ready. And thanks again for your time, Colton. And as an American, thanks for your service in the U.S. Army.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great to have you. Now, going back, you talked about training with Lloyd Irvin in Virginia. How long have you been training in MMA?
Because of military deployments and stuff, it's been a lot of breaks in between training. I think I've been training for about 4 years now, but I've, going to the field and, all my fights up until this last one with Mike Ricci, I literally trained 2 or 3 times a week consistently. That was about it. Other than that, it was just doing the Army training, doing the Army physical training. I'm new to the sport. I'm still molding myself every day. Luckily now the Army's allowed me to train almost full time. So I'm getting a lot more training now, but I've only been training full time, for the past 3 months, maybe.
Okay. Now, I saw in the lead up to your fight with Mike Ricci that you were training the Army Combatives unit. Is that still part of your assignment? And are you still on active duty?
I'm active duty. I'm an active duty staff sergeant. I'm the chief instructor at the Army Combative School. at Fort Hood, Texas. So yeah, I mean that's my job now. My job right now, I should say, is we have 8,000 square foot mat space. We got a cage. We got tie bags. We got a world champion black belt jiu-jitsu instructors. We got Muay Thai guys. We got it all. The Army all provides all of that, and I'm an instructor there. I teach soldiers hand-to-hand techniques.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, focusing a little more on the MMA side of things, it seems like every website has a different listing for your MMA record. The Underground has you listed at 5-1 as an amateur and 2-1 as a pro. Is that correct?
No. I think I guess my wife, and I'm 7-1 as an amateur, and then I should be 5-1 as a pro. But the UFC said that my semifinal fight with John Manley, since it was 3 rounds, it was sanctioned by Nevada State Athletic Commission. The UFC counted that as a pro fight, so it makes me 6-1 according to the UFC. But really, I'm 5-1.
Okay. Yeah, it seemed like SureDog had something different. Wikipedia had something different. But yeah, I saw that you had quite an extensive amateur career as well, and won a few championships on the amateur level as well. Is that correct?
Yeah. That was all at 185. I didn't really train then. I just took fights and I fought. And luckily, I definitely did pretty well. I had all first round finishes, victories, as an amateur, and my first 3 my first 3 pro wins were first round submissions as well. And then now I've kind of hit a slump where I'm getting all decision victories, but tough competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't expect to keep that finish rate so high when you start facing a higher level of competition. Now going to your fight in the finale with Mike Ricci, you were all over him. You were working for submissions, getting good positions, hitting good ground and pound. It had to feel good to dominate a fighter with the experience and background of Ricci.
Yeah, going into the fight, they almost made it almost like a Rocky type thing. How he comes from TriStar, he comes from money. He has GSP and Roy McDonald as his partners. He has Faraz Zahabi as his coach. And then they looked at me, and I'm just a military guy, like the blue collar guy. I train sometimes in a boxing gym that's the size of a 1-car garage. I bounce around and train a lot now. Luckily, I'm blessed to be able to do that. But I accepted the underdog role. I was the underdog. I think betting odds were like 2.5 to 1 or something like that. I took it, and I was ready to go.
Yeah, you certainly were, and you showed that that night in the cage. I mean, it was pretty much just domination from the very beginning. Now, you also had an interesting choice of fight trunks in your fight on the Tough finale. Were the gray shorts a tactical choice?
The Gray Valley Tudos, those were the UFC's Valley Tudos for my season. A lot of people are like, oh, you fought in your underwear. Why would Dana White let you fight in your underwear? Those were the ones that the UFC had made actually for our team Nelson. I always wear Valley Tudos. I had some fights before with shorts, but a lot of guys grab my shorts. When I go for takedowns, guys will grab my shorts. Even though the ref will stop it, it still stops my takedown and, stops my momentum. So I started wearing Valley Tudos, and those were the Valley Tudos the UFC had for me when I showed up for the finale. So that's what I wore.
Okay, excellent. Now, just coming off your victory, any idea where you'd like to go from here? Any idea any opponent you'd like to face next at 170?
Yeah, I talked to my nutritionist and my strength conditioning coach, about where we go from here. Do we, and my trainer, my wife, obviously, as well. Where we go from here? Do I drop to 155? Do I stay at 170? Right now we're staying at 170. We're going to bulk up a little bit, get some more size on me. Focus on that, as well as obviously my techniques and stuff. As far as opponents and stuff like that, I don't choose that. I don't pick fights. I'm not going to go talk crap on the internet. A couple guys have already reached out to me talking crap on Twitter. It is what it is. I think one of them was a 155er even. He was a Tough Smashes winner. I've never watched any video on him. I told him I'd fight him because he asked to fight me. I said, of course, I'm an athlete. I'm a competitor. I do this for the competition. I do this for the love of the sport. I honestly do not do this for fame and money. fortune, all that stuff. I do this because I love competing. I love testing my skills against another human being. So, I welcome whoever the UFC thinks is a formidable opponent for me. I like to think I'm at the bottom. I got to work my way up. Just because I won the Ultimate Fighter doesn't mean anything really. It's cool. It's a great achievement. Something I'm really happy that I achieved. But now it's time to set new goals and make those goals come true.
That's awesome. Well, and as long as you're competing for the love of the sport and not the money, heck, that's the best motivation, and that's really the best place to come from.
Absolutely. That's how I am. I've always been a competitor growing up. I've played sports all year long, every year, and I don't care if it's a thumb war. I want to win. I don't like rock paper scissors, man. That's just my competitive spirit. That's why I've had a successful career in the military, and my fight career's taken off now. I think that's something that really motivates it.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'll tell you, it's been great to talk to you, Colton. It's been a real pleasure, and if you want to take a minute and just shout out any friends, family, sponsors, let everybody know how they can follow you on Facebook or Twitter.
Yeah, first and foremost, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. If it wasn't for Him, I wouldn't be here. This is His path for me, and, I'm trying to live the path out and live His will out. So, Him, my sponsors, Tap Out, Faction Mouth Guards, ML Management, Tina Vidal, my lovely wife and children, all my training partners, all my coaches, they've done wonders for me, all my prior training partners as well and prior coaches. That's about it. In the United States Army for allowing me to, chase my dreams as a non-commissioned officer as well as be a fighter.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks again for your time.
I guess I could do my Twitter handle is Colton Smith MMA. And then I have a fan page on Facebook, and I also have a private page on Facebook.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for your time, Colton, and congratulations on winning Tough 16.
All right, thank you guys very much. God bless.
And you, Colin. We really appreciate you coming on. Good luck for 2013.
Thank you very much.